Love them or hate them, for many, mods have been an integral part of Ark Survival Evolved, whether it's just small tweaks or vast complex overhauls. And now, with Survival Ascended bringing access to consoles, this is surely only going to increase. But moving to a new game has effectively wiped that slate clean, leaving many favourites behind and a vast array of beta test or unfinished ideas in their place. The list is growing fast though, and it can be quite daunting to look through. But that's where I come in today. Alright folks, my name is Freyn and I've been scouring through the mod workshop to see what's out there. And now I bring you 5 mods that I think are worth checking out. If you'd like to know how I chose them, I'll go over that at the end. But for now, in no particular order, let's begin with R+ Advanced. Now, cryopods are one of the most notable absences from Ark Ascended, and while many among the community are actually really enjoying that, it's certainly not universal. Whether you simply miss being able to carry a giga in your pocket to save yourself from a sticky situation, you're a server host hoping to reduce lag, or simply you don't have time to log in and constantly feed your creatures, cryopods are a huge saviour for many players. And like many other mods out there, that is what R+ is trying to bring back. There are a few additional features added on top of the simple cryos we're used to. I can't see it there, but if I get it back out, there we are. We now have colour coding on the cryos, pink for female, blue for male. We also have stat display. You can see I've got 38 points in health, 14 weight on this one. That's not something that was available on default cryos in Survival Evolved, and also allowing us to see whether it is currently ready to mate or not as well. Over here we have the bog standard cryo fridge, as you may remember, but also a cryo terminal. It doesn't really have a lot of features so far. It's not as extensive as Dino Storage V2 was, but we can do the newborn auto cryo and newborn auto neutering if we like. Or if we put a creature in a cryopod into the terminal, we can then go back to the settings and tell it to only pick up newborns of a specific species. So you could have a whole array of terminals, each one picking up a different creature. All 3 engrams are available at level 81, the cryopod and cryo fridge being the same cost as they previously were, the cryo terminal taking an additional element cost there. But they're all available at 81, and then we have 2 other features in the mod as well. The first being an infinitely reusable grappling hook. Not my favourite personally, probably cuts a bit too much danger out, but many will like it. And then the last is meant to be a reusable mind wipe tonic. Doesn't seem to work for me. According to the description it should be reusable, but doesn't seem to work for me so far. There's always going to be a few kinks early on, and I'm sure they will continue to expand the mod as time goes by. But there we are, R+ Advanced. So let's move on. Our second mod is Clifton's Backpacks. Now, let's say you're out in the world, you're doing some gathering, and you're pretty low level, so you haven't really had chance to put points into weight yet. Oh dear, we can't move. Well, one solution would be a shoulder pet, but moving it back and forth can get tedious, and we may not even have one yet. So yes, as you may have guessed from the name, this mod brings in backpacks to help lighten your load instead. There are 5 different backpacks available, all functionally the same, simply a different appearance, and they are available at 3 different tiers of weight reduction. Looking at our engrams, the tier 1s are available at level 10 and they provide a 20% weight reduction. The tier 2s are available at 35 and they provide a 50% weight reduction, and the tier 3s at 70 and they provide a 65% weight reduction. Now it is worth noting that none of these values are visible in game, they're all found only on the mod page, but that's likely because you can actually customize it with INI settings as well. So if you wanted, your tier 3 could completely reduce your weight down to only 1%. The choice is yours. So let's get that backpack equipped. There we are, and instantly I can move again, haha. A nice big weight reduction, and more importantly, it's a buff. It's not taking up the offhand or the pet slot. It is just a buff that you can turn on and off at will. Now, it's not a completely flawless mod, as the model doesn't really adapt to characters of different sizes particularly well, but the idea is there, the function is there, and it's a feature that I've often thought would be very good in Ark. Something to help reduce your weight, something craftable. but now I can go and gather so much more metal before I have to return home. It's a really nice, small, simple mod, and if you want to take off the backpack again, all you have to do, stop, go to your inventory, unequip, and there we go. Oh dear, I can't move. So we'll put a different one back on. Let's go with the basket. I like it. It's a bit more rustic, a bit more my kind of style. But there we are. That is Clifton's Backpacks. For our third mod, we have Architect Structures Remastered. This was one of my favourite mods in Survival Evolved. A very, very good building mod that is highly worth checking out if you're still playing. In Ascended, not quite the game changer it once was though, for two reasons mostly. The first is that large chunks of its changes were actually now implemented into the base game, so it simply doesn't have as much to do. For instance, the increased wall height was part of the Survival Evolved mod, as was the cycling between multiple structures. The second reason, it's simply still in its infancy. But what does it change though? Well, first off, all structures are crafted in a bench, which I'm sure will please many a budding builder who hates being slowed down from bulk crafting as they gather. Secondly, instead of picking up individual engrams, you instead unlock each material tier in one go. See, we've got the wood tier, the stone tier, greenhouse tier, metal tier, tech eventually. It's less hassle and it saves you some engram points. For actual new structural options right now, there aren't too many. We have stackable foundations, changeable pillar widths as we can see over here, optional corrugational removal on the greenhouse windows, which are all easily accessible from the radial wheel like so. And then we have steeper and shallower roof gradients. The default is in the centre there for a bit of a comparison. But that about sums up what's available at the moment. So not a huge amount, but if Evolved is anything to go by, it'll be one to watch. Alternative appearances like scaffolding or the Atlas aesthetic, variable glass tinting, half-height pillars or quarter-width walls and ceilings, they really went above and beyond with all the different building options, and hopefully they'll be bringing that across to Survival Ascended as well. Our fourth mod is Puller, an extremely lightweight quality of life tool that probably doesn't need much explanation. S Plus was one of the most popular mods in Survival Evolved, and a large part of that was its item pulling functionality, and this mod aims to emulate that. Although currently in a very stripped down and beta state, if we look at our inventory we can see some new options down the bottom here. So let's say I wanted to craft a foundation. Let's go stone foundation, there we are. Now obviously I have no materials, no stone, no thatch, no wood. If I come down here, let's make 3, we click the button, and there we are, all the resources for 3 foundations pulled from my storage boxes into my inventory. Now, as mentioned, this is a very, very stripped down version compared to what was in Survival Evolved. It doesn't have the pulling for repairing, or the ability to move specific resources from specific locations, but they are working towards that. It's definitely a quality of life feature many are missing right now, and even if this particular mod doesn't manage to get it done quickly, I'm sure someone out there is working on it as we speak. So, moving on to our fifth and last one for today, Circa's RP Deco. As you may expect from the name, this is a decoration mod. We start out with a little deco table here at low level, pick that up and that will enable you to craft all sorts of things. This is far from the full selection, but we have some braziers, little fire there, we've got some shields, some sort of tool racks, shelves, flags, a nice fire pit, there's some chairs, a broom, over here we've got some benches and tables, and even some fully functional beds that we can travel and respawn from. These are all nice, cheap, simple to make, and with the new building system allowing us to make nicer bases than ever, I'm sure a lot of people will really appreciate being able to fill out the interior as well. It's one of the areas I was really hoping the vanilla game would expand on, to be honest. But there is a huge selection of items in here. You can see we've got chairs, sofas, tables, we've got some rugs in here, got candles, the shields of course as we mentioned, we've got some hanging onions if you like those, table settings, we've got bottles, goblets, plates, cutlery, all sorts. You can really turn it into a fully lived-in base. Now, it is all very rustic, sort of medieval Viking Age kind of thing, so it may not appeal to everyone, but it will really fit in with the more primitive stone and wood bases that we can make in game. So if building and decorating is the side of the game that you enjoy, then this could really be a good mod for you. And there we have it, 5 mods I think that are currently worth having a look at. Obviously, these are all still undergoing work, and there are going to be many, many, many more still to come as well in the future. As for why I chose these particular mods, well, it's a bit of a mixture. I was looking for sort of quality of life stuff, maybe a bit of an extension here and there over what we've already got. Also, trying to avoid the really obvious ones like Ark Additions, which I think everyone will have already seen due to being available on day one and widely pushed by Wildcard themselves. And simply aiming to put a bit of a spotlight on things people might not have already seen. We'll have another look in a few weeks, perhaps a month, and see what other mods have appeared. But in the meantime, thank you all very much for watching. I hope this has been of some use to you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.